Okay guys, I'm here today going ahead and building up this Indigo controller I bought. I ended up picking this controller up from my local retro gaming store for right about $5. I mean, this thing is nasty. I mean, if you just look at that, it makes me want to go wash my hands every time I have to touch this thing. The analog stick's completely gone. Gunk and all the lettering. Analog stick is even sticky. You can see all the crap in there. I mean, that's just dead skin, food, and who knows what else. I mean, ugh. It's really, really gross. So, the reason I like this controller, because the casing almost has no scratches on it. I mean, it's pretty good condition case, besides just being dirty. Uh, Analog stick, I don't know. This thing has definitely seen its use as far as playing goes. Got a new analog stick here. I've salvaged off some of my old parts as well as a new C-stick. Those will be going into this controller as we take it apart. Definitely going to be a big improvement over what's on there now. First of all, you'll need a Y-tip screwdriver. I can't get it to focus, so I will be putting that in the video description, a link to one of those. It doesn't want to focus, so no, oh well. Next up, you'll need a small Phillips head screwdriver, which ended up, you may or may not use it depending on how this controller is put together. Lots of Q-tips, and some simple green is what I'm going to be using to clean everything up. So, that should just about do it as far as your supplies. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and flip this over. There are 6 screws on the GameCube controllers. 2 at the bottom, 2 in the middle, and 2 at the top right next to the bumpers. So, you go ahead and take those apart real quick. Okay, now that we've got that all taken apart, you can see the 2 halves of the shell right here. We have the bottom half with the triggers, R and L. They're just springs in them pretty much that causes resistance, causes them to click in. Go ahead. Some people end up taking the triggers out of these, or taking the springs out of these for different games. You can see the little pins where the pins sit that are on the board. That's what it kind of tells the motherboard that you are pushing in R or L. You can see that one looks like it has a little groove in it. At first I thought that was a crack when I first looked at it, but then I realized it wasn't. This one is slightly different from other GameCube controllers I've messed with, considering they just have used some a little bit different pieces. I'm guessing it's a newer model. Well, here's the top half. The Z button just popped out right there, and pop that back in real quick. Take the core and just grab it by the cylinder. Just pull out the entire board. I'm not really sure what to call that officially. I don't know my stuff as far as electronics go that well, but I have figured out how to work with these fairly well. You see all the buttons stay inside the casing besides the analog stick and the C-stick, as well as you have your button pads that stay on there. Those are actually kind of a pain to put back on, so I'd recommend trying to leave them on. Go ahead, pop off the analog stick. You can see it has a little groove in there. You can kind of see where it pops on. Put that off to the side, probably throw it away. Got a new one. Go ahead, pull the C-stick off. Once again, that one's still good, but I'll be replacing it with a little bit cleaner one. Go ahead and hold this real quick. Peel those off. Peel those off just to kind of get them off, because they'll end up falling off because there's no pins to hold them on the motherboard itself. So I'm going to go ahead and take a Q-tip and just go ahead and kind of get some of the small, finer dust. You can see there's some stuff that's already come off there. Just dry. You don't want to get this wet. You just want to kind of run it over everything and just make sure you get all the fine dust off. This will just make your controller, I mean, it's always good to keep these things clean. I'm just going to rub it all over the board just to try and get any little loose dust off of there. There's a lot of it collects around the actual analog sticks, so you may have to put a little bit of pressure on there just to get that off. and nothing really too serious here. You're just pretty much wiping it off. I'm going to go in the back here of the underside of it. There's not quite as much dust on the other side. There's those little tabs for the R and L buttons. Right there, you want to have make sure that you have them pushed all the way forward when you reassemble this. Otherwise, your R and L buttons will not work. You'll be able to push them in, but they won't click. That's a telltale sign that you don't have them put in right. So, just going to kind of go ahead, keep cleaning this, keep cleaning it. Looks pretty good right there. Go ahead, take this, put it off to the side, grab the top of the casing. I'm just going to go ahead and pop this up real quick. You can see there's the button pad for the D-pad, and there goes all the buttons as I flip it off. Go ahead and pull everything out of this, put it off to the side where you can make sure you just don't lose any of those small little pieces. Pop out the Z button I put in earlier. Just go ahead and scrape a lot of this gunk out. You can see it in there. It's really gross. Ugh. It's really, really gross actually. You can see that. This is why you should definitely clean your controllers every so often, depending on how much you use them, obviously. For this controller, it's not going to get used that much, so I might clean it like once every couple months just to get dust mostly. So I'm going to take a Q-tip and some Simple Green, just kind of soak that. You can see it kind of turn a greenish color, the Q-tip anyways, and I'm just going to go ahead and just swab it. Okay, so now that we've got everything nice and clean, got all that gunk out of it, I'm going to go ahead and start reassembling, cleaned up the C-stick. That is a different C-stick because the other one was slightly more worn, slightly discolored from use. So I went ahead and picked up another one. Going to go ahead and take the top casing and start putting in your buttons. Going to start with the A button, then the B button, the X button, Y button, D-pad, so on and so forth, and then start button obviously. I have a little bit of trouble with this one right here because I don't know, sometimes I have issues with stuff, but there you go, there's the Y button. Go ahead, throw in the start button, the D-pad. The start button is the easiest to lose, so make sure you keep track of that one. Go ahead and put the D-pad's pad on, the kind of pressure pad. It has a nice little kind of post right there. There's a hole on top. You just go ahead and slide that right on. It actually took me a while to figure out the first time. I didn't pay attention when taking it apart. Biggest thing when taking apart anything, make sure you pay attention. Just make sure that's on very well. So you can go ahead and, so you don't have issues with it falling apart. This is probably the most difficult one, is this Y-shaped button pad. I had the most issues with this one, just in my entire time taking apart controllers. The start button one, there's two little pins that it has holes cut out for, so make sure you line those up. It is not that difficult once you figure out which way it goes. I've done this wrong so many times. As you can see, I'm even struggling here. There we go. Got it on finally. Good job. Just go ahead and take the Z button. There's a tiny little pin on top. Go ahead and slide that in. If I could keep this in camera or in focus, that would be great. Sorry guys for the picture quality. I will be picking up a new camera here very soon. Definitely could use with a better camera. There's a little hole right there you want that to slide into. And that there's a metal little slit on the Z button. That's what I was just pointing to, where that slides into. Just that's what gives it the resistance. Now we can go ahead and take our board and the top casing, go ahead, flip it over, and just kind of sandwich it in there. You have to kind of come from an angle to get all the button pads to stay on the board and everything just right. Pop the Z button back in. I had to take it out. It's probably best to take it out because it likes to fall out quite a bit. Go ahead, take the cord. There is a peg that does go over. You can kind of see it wrapped around there. Go ahead and push that through the front of the case where it's supposed to be. Push both of those pins up so your R and L buttons will continue to work. Take your bottom of your casing, just kind of snap it on like that. Should just kind of snap on. You may have to wiggle the cord just a little bit to get it to properly close like that. And now just kind of get it to snap together really well. I was having a little bit of an issue with the cord, but just go ahead and make sure R and L buttons are both working. And there we go. Now that it's all put together fairly well, you can see the Z or X and A button are kind of pushed in slightly. Just going to go ahead and flip that upside down and clamp it back together. Okay, so I found out that the lips are slightly messed up on this controller, so it does not like snap together. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the screws, screw everything together, and we should be all good. Okay guys, now we've got the controller all put back together. It looks really clean. All the lettering is not brown anymore. The buttons are all feeling really nice. Analog stick is way better, way cleaner. I don't feel like I need to wash my hands. All the buttons feel great. The C-stick looks great. This controller just will make an amazing addition to my collection. I really am enjoying just how well this controller looks and feels. For how much use I originally thought it had, all the springs feel really great. All the button pads don't feel like they're worn out. Analog stick has a little bit of wiggle, but that comes with use in your controllers. And overall, I think this will make a great addition to my collection. Guys, thanks for watching my very first video on this channel. I'll be uploading a lot more Nintendo content. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter. I'll put the links in the description, as well as they will be in the banner of my channel. Guys, subscribe if you'd like to see more. I'll be doing more videos like this, unboxings, reviews. I have a few things coming up here really soon. If you have anything you really want to see, let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to get that to you for sure. Guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one.